if you're a high ticket closer in 2025, you're probably making 10 to 15% commission. But the real opportunity in 2025 is selling AI, where closers are making 80 to 100% commission on the deals that are closing without any fulfillment. And in this video, I'm going to go over the exact step-by-step process on how you can take your skills from high ticket sales to selling AI and take advantage of this opportunity today. And so let's take a look at what your current skill sets are and why it's not worth it for you to continue what you're doing currently. So if you work in high ticket sales, you're probably in two positions, right? You either work as a closer or you have a sales agency, right? Either way, the commission's between 10 to 20%. If you're a closer, you're probably getting 10 to 15% commission on each deal. Right? On a sales agency, you're charging for placement, and then you're taking 20% revenue on the offer. And so whether your closer gets 10 or 20%, 10 or 15%, you get the other percentage for placement and percentage on the close, right? But let's take a look at what happens if you're a closer. Let's say you're selling a $5,000 offer and you're taking 10 to 15% commission. That basically means you're getting $500 to $750 per close, right? And this $500 to $750 is you get this from one call, right? So let's say a sales call is typically, let's say it's an hour, right? You close a process with an hour, and let's say you have a 25% close rate. It takes you 4 hours to make $500 to $750. So your dollar per hour is between $100 to $200, right? As a closer, you're trading money for time. So you're looking at 4 to 6 hours of effort to make around $500 to $750, which is around $100 to $200 per hour of time. Every single month, you're starting from zero, right? Is this revenue doesn't carry over, right? It's not a monthly recurring revenue for you. Every single month, you got to continue to jump on these calls and close more deals so you can consistently make more money every single month, right? Now, what does this look like if you're a sales agency, right? If you're a sales manager or a sales agency, you probably charge for placement, right? Between $2,500 per $5,000 per closer, depending on the amount of setters and closers that a company needs. And you probably take 20% revenue, right? You're hosting all these calls for the setting and closing team, making sure that they're doing their job, right? On a $5,000 offer, let's say you have a placement of one closer, you're looking at $2,500 for a placement fee, and then on 20% of revenue, you're getting $1,000. So you do have to spend maybe 2 hours more per week to manage the setting and closing team, getting on calls, doing call review. So if they're performing at a 25% close rate on shown calls, you're looking at spending between 4 to 8 hours of effort to make $3,500, which is a lot more than a sales closer, but you're still trading time for money, right? All the deals that you close in the month do not reoccur this next month, right? And this is why selling AI is such a massive opportunity, right? Whether you're a closer or a sales agency, you're trading time for money, right? And while you're a sales agency, you'll probably be able to get more rev share. You can charge for placement if they need a setter or closer, right? But you're still trading time for money because you still have to manage these setters and closers. You still have to make sure that they're performing. And so if you're looking to transition into selling AI without worrying about fulfillment, what workflows to sell, feel free to apply to our program's AI Sales Academy and be able to transition from high ticket sales to selling AI and make 4 to 10 times more amount of money. And so if you're interested, apply in our program below, but let's take a look at why this is such a massive opportunity. So currently you're trading time for money. And so if you're a closer, you move on to sales agency, you're still trading time for money. You just get more money per hour of work, right? But why is selling AI such a massive opportunity, right? So let's say we're not going to change the ticket size. We're still selling a $5,000 offer, right? If we're selling a $5,000 offer, you can also have the rev share. So what we teach you in our program is I don't like to sell monthly retainers while there is a recurring revenue, but one of the cons of running an agency that you're selling a monthly retainer is the same con that you deal with in sales. Every month you start from zero, right? The service that a client gets every single month, it starts from zero. They're thinking, okay, well, let's see how the monthly retainer performed last month. Let me determine how the monthly retainer performs this month, right? Every month you start from zero, and they're comparing last month from this month, and there's a likelihood of churn, right? Your LTV per client isn't very long, right? Whereas if you're a salesperson, your LTV is 1 month, right? Or the deal that you closed on, right? Unless you are an account manager, right? So what happens when you sell AI? On a $5,000 offer, you can add a rev share, right? So if you sell a $5,000 offer, you can have a performance model where you take 5% of every deal closed, right? What happens when you sell a $5,000 offer? Well, you get 100% commission, right? Well, it's not really 100% commission because you still need to fulfill and manage, right? So there are still costs to it, but you're not starting from zero every single month, right? And you don't need to worry about fulfillment, right? Because we're going to help you dial in the process to where you just get on calls and sell, right? And so you have higher leverage with your time by taking care of all these things. Because even if you're a sales agency, you still have to manage people, right? You still have to make sure that they're doing the calls correctly. Even if you have software to automate to go over the call recordings, you still need to manage something to a certain degree, right? And even if you're a sales closer, you're still managing a pipeline. So what you'd be managing here in selling AI is it would take basically the same amount of time that it would take for you to, manage your own pipeline as a closer or manage your team as a sales agency. So what you'd be managing here is your expenses would look like, even if you make it 100% commission, is you're going to spend $500 to $1,000 on acquisition cost per deal, right? If you're closing at 25%, your acquisition cost is going to be $500 to $1,000 per deal closed. It just depends on, for you, how good you are at the media buying, right? In our program, we help you go through the media buying. That's the easy stuff to learn. Once you find an offer that does really well, you find ad creatives, and you just really dial in and press a big red button to spend more, right? Now, what does that look like on the fulfillment side, right? I would pay $1,000 per month employee to help you with the fulfillment, right? They run the automations, they do all the fulfillment for you, and they even talk to the client for you. That way you just sell, right? And then of course, like $500 in software costs, right? There's computing costs for the LLM model you're using, ChatGPT, blah, 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 but also the software that you're running to run all these automations, right? But that's minuscule, right? $500. So all in all, you're going to be spending $2,000 to $3,000 on, 500. So yeah, $2,000, right? $2,000 to $2,500. And so you're on a deal, let's say the first deal that you close, you only profit like 2 or 3K, right? But if you have a rev share, let's say on my deals, we usually do help you negotiate at least a 5% rev share on each deal close. Let's say the average ticket is $10,000, right? Well, then you make $500 for each deal that you help them close with your automation. And you're not doing all the work. The automation does all the work for you. So the key thing here that you realize is for fulfillment and to have recurring revenue, AI does all the work for you. You're not having to start from zero every single month, right? And so what it looks like is you have a higher LTV per hour of work, right? And so instead of training your team and starting from zero every single month, AI does the work for you, right? They help you make sure you have recurring revenue. Right, you close for every deal that you close, because at the end of the day, you're still getting on calls and closing deals. It's just within that hour of work, do you have more leverage, right? Is at the end of the day, if we're going to close at 25%, it takes 4 calls to close, right? If it takes 4 calls to close a deal, you're still spending 4 to 6 hours for the amount of time, right? If you're closing on a sales agency, you get more money for placement, but you're getting 20% rev share, but you still start from zero every single month, right? As a closer, you still start from zero every single month, right? If you sell AI, yes, you need to sign more deals, but you have that 5% rev share. And with the workflows that we help you build in our program, they're doing all the work for you. So you're just collecting 5% commission for every deal closed. And so you don't need to sign as many clients as someone that's working as a closer, right? They're running on a hamster wheel, whereas you're working on an automated process to where you can sell. And at some point, if you want, you don't even need to sell, you can hire a closer, right? And you just make sure all the numbers are dialed in and are fulfilled, right? So this is exactly why if you're currently working high ticket sales, you can transition to selling AI. And again, if you're interested in working with us for us to transition you from high ticket sales to running your own AI agency and selling AI to businesses, please apply at AI Sales Academy and book a call with us below to see if we're a good fit.